started.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen is being called to order. May I ask everyone to rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What am I doing here? Okay. Okay, the third item is to consider and act upon the minutes of March 1st, 2021, March 15th, 2021. Do I have a motion to
Yes, so
accept?
moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion on this item?
Because I wasn't here for the March 15th meeting, I'm going to abstain, and I just wanted to make that clear. So,
Okay, very
yeah.
good. Any discussion, Mr. Flynn?
No, I'm all good. Thank you. Surprisingly enough, huh? Hey, Madam First Selectwoman, might I suggest you call for 2 votes here, one on March 1st so Nancy can approve that, and one on March 15th, then she can decline on that one, if that's the one she wasn't here for.
Do you want to break the motion up?
All right, I make a motion to break this into 2 votes, one for the March 1st meeting and one for the March 15th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're
So that I
back.
can move to approve the March 1st minutes.
Yes.
Correct.
So moved.
All right. No discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item.
March 15th minutes, I'll move to approve.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
And I will abstain
For the record.
for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is a resignation. This is just for information only, from the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. Edward Cosgrove Jr. From Black Rock Turnpike is resigning from the committee. I just want to thank Jay for his service to the committee. And on the Racial Equity and Justice Task Force, Alexandra Acampo of Rogers Road is resigned on March 29th, 2021. And I also want to thank Alexandra for her service on the committee. Nancy, did you want to comment?
Yeah, just to say thank you. I've gotten the chance to get to know Alex through her work on this committee. I did not know her before. She's a really special person, extraordinary single mom raising a son here in Fairfield. And I just want to thank her for her service, wish her well. I know she will continue this work. I know it's personally, it's a passion of hers and something she's dedicated to, and just couldn't give the time and the energy that the committee in good, in good faith, she couldn't give to it for personal reasons. So I just want to thank her publicly and also thank the gentleman that had served on the Bike Pedestrian Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second those comments. I appreciate everybody who serves on these committees. It's time-consuming work, and it's most appreciated.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 5, which is the purchasing authority to hear, consider, and authorize the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed contract with the National Water Main Cleaning Company of Canton, Massachusetts for the Phase 3 sanitary sewer system services in the amount not to exceed $188,550. Funding for this contract is available in the account numbers listed on the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And we have Gerald Foley on the line, also Bill Norton and Chris Rogers, who can present this item. Gentlemen, who wants to go first?
This is Gerald Foley. I can start if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you're welcome. So what this is a project. What we're doing is this is our third phase. We're rehabilitating the sewer system in phases. So this particular phase, we're going to rehabilitation of approximately 31 sewer manholes, as well as various other joints, linings, and repairs to the system components. The company, we went out to bid for this. The company that's the low bidder was this National Water Main and Cleaning Company. This will be, I believe, their third, if awarded to them, this will be the third project in the third phase that this company's done for us. They've done good work on time and within budget.
Very good. Bill or Chris, do you have anything to add?
Just for clarification, this will be National Water Main's second contract. They did phase
Second.
1, DIS
and
did phase 2, and this would be phase 3.
Thank you.
So, but they did do good work in phase 1. They do work up and down the Eastern Seaboard. They are a good company. And
Can
this is
I,
their main focus of work?
Got it.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Can I
Is
ask a
there
couple
any
questions?
from the board?
Yes. This is Tom. And if it's okay, I have a few questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
So when was this actually approved by the town bodies? I do recall we've been doing this, but it seems like it's quite some time ago.
This is basically funded out of my operating budget.
Yeah, but did this go before the town bodies for approval? I thought.
Well, I can. Yeah, it's
go
been
ahead.
in the budget. I'm sorry, this is Gerald Foley. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've seen it. So this is the third time that I've, as Bill alluded to,
Yeah.
this is the third time my office put it out to bid, and it's always been from this one account. And I, you know, I've always seen it in the budget. We've gone back and looked at it, and but to answer the question is if the whole project and the whole concept had actually been brought before that, I'm not sure, but I know we've been doing it in phases.
I do recall. I do recall when I was on the Board of Finance, there was a sewer project that was approved, but that was a number of years ago. And when I saw this come
Right.
up, I was just wondering whether this was kind of the end of that, and it had taken a long period of time, or whether, as you said, Bill, I think that it's out of your operating budget. And I've got a couple follow-up questions. So could you respond to that?
Yeah, this was presented with my overall operating budget to all the
Okay.
boards. Then it's bid out of that. This is an ongoing project. You know, we have over 200 miles of sewer line. So
How many phases are there then?
it'll be continual. I can't enter. I don't know how many phases we will get to, but we had an I&I evaluation done by Wright Pierce, and that's where we identified several areas of town that needs to be done. We have a line
Right.
item in the budget for $400,000 a year. That's where this is
Right.
funded out of, and we go out to bid because we're not sure exactly where that number will lie with all of the stuff that we include in these bids.
Right.
So, and this, like I said, this is the ongoing. Phase 4 is ready to go as soon as what was planned for next year's budget. So as soon as the budget's approved, we'll probably put that out to bid for funding after July 1st.
Okay. So this really, even though we're calling them phases, this is basically routine maintenance, and this is going to be an ongoing item, is essentially what I'm hearing you saying, just because we have so many miles of sewers in town. Is that fair to say?
Maintenance is I'm not sure as accurate as repairs.
Okay. Okay.
You know, this isn't maintaining. We do the maintenance on the system as far as cleaning, and
Yep.
now we have a TV camera machine that we can go ahead and do our own inspections on when we find problems within the system that we identify. We don't have to have a contractor come in and do that. We go ahead and
Right.
look at that. And then we put that on the list that we already had. A couple years ago, Wright Pierce came through and did about several miles. I can't remember. They're about $35,000 worth of cammering of the system. They also did a flow assessment where they
Is
placed,
that where they blow the smoke through?
no, that wasn't a smoke test. What we did was we put
Okay.
40 meters throughout the town and waited for
Okay.
rain events and seen where we had severe increases in flow. Then we went back and cambered those lines to identify the problems and the issues, whether the joints needed to be sealed, whether it needed to be a dig repair, whether we could line it, what kind of remediation needed to be done per these phases.
Got it. Can we, as we go forward on these agendas, I don't know if this is Jen Carpenter or whatever, could we put the name of the accounts on here and the fact that this is part of the annual operating budget, or whether it's part of the capital budget as we just move forward with these?
Yeah, so
I'll
this
ask
is
that. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
no, sorry to interrupt. So anyway, I'm the one that kind of festers out and finds the accounts, so I can
Yeah.
work with Jennifer. And then again,
Perfect.
it would just yeah. So we can go through and we could put maybe if you want the name of the account or the.
I do. Yes.
Okay.
And that
I
it's
can do that.
operating, budget, if you don't mind.
Right, we can do operating. We'll do this capital or non-recurring or something. But yeah, I can
That's
put more.
fine.
Yeah, I can put a bit more definitions with them.
No, I
I'll
appreciate
work with
that.
Jennifer on that.
And quick question as well. Is Attorney Baldwin on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Jim, just my standard questions. Is this anything that's concerning in this contract? Did this go through the standard processes and you're comfortable with all the language in this contract?
It did, and in that sense, it was pretty easy because we have prior agreements with them. So
That's what I
yes,
figured.
it's all been done.
And is this one of those where there's a performance bond backing this up?
I'm
Yes,
sure
we will.
Gerald can answer that question.
Yes.
Okay.
Gerald Foley, yes.
All right. I thank you, gentlemen. No further questions
welcome.
from me.
Welcome.
I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment because I serve on water pollution control, and I think one of the most heartening things that happen in our town government is the people that are so dedicated to this work. It's very unsung, and people really don't understand until there's a problem. And so I appreciate all the work that you do to keep those lines maintained and the work that goes on with the sewers and all that underground system. And it's very complicated. So I just wanted to say thank you and highlight it again, because it is one of the more heartening things that happens in the town that people don't necessarily appreciate on the day-to-day. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. The next item, number 6, is to hear and consider and authorize the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed contract with D&B Engineers, LLC for engineering design services for the replacement of the East Trunk sewer line in the amount not to exceed $135,950. Funding for this contract is available and the account number is listed on the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
A discussion and questions. We have the same gentleman on the line.
Gentlemen, this one is, we talked about this. Is this related to all the work at Sacred Heart and that type of thing up there?
Yes, this is the fit out at the ECC, right, Gerald? I had about 6 contracts to review, so I need to.
Well, yeah. So this one I can get. So this project entails replacement of approximately 311 linear feet of what we refer to as the East Trunk sanitary sewer. The current pipe goes through the wetlands, and it's approximately 33 inches in diameter, and we're going to be upgrading it to 36 inches. In addition to the piping being undersized, the section of pipe is also built on these wooden piles that we need to replace. And then the project is going to entail removing and replacing a concrete weir as part of the existing drainage structure.
Now, this wasn't, I don't recall this being part of the ECC fit out. I thought this was because they're doing further expansion up there.
Yeah, I missed. This is Jim Baldwin. I misspoke.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
my contracts and stuff.
I don't think it is either, but Bill, I know we're doing it because of the reasons I just stated, but I don't know if there's like a secondary or a third thing that is being reviewed. But what I can say though is that the company we've selected, what we did is we actually had a prior design, and we went out for a third-party review of that design. And as a result of that, we've come back and everyone has recommended we go with a different route with a different company. So that's what you have before you. Is we're actually, taking a step back before we go forward. The prior design was very expensive, and so we have this other company coming in and going to look to redesign, hopefully come in a little bit closer to budget.
Is this phase put us above budget, or is this more than we thought it was going to be for this phase?
No,
That
I
was
think
my
this
next question
was,
anyway.
Yes, this was very competitive in terms of the. So at this particular point, we're not doing the actual construction. We're doing the design components
Yep.
of it. So we're doing project investigation and analysis. It's the number that you're voting on is to do all the phases, but we're doing it in multiple phases. So phase 1 is what's referred to as the project investigation and analysis. Then phase 2 will do preliminary design, phase 3 final design. So as we go through the phases, you'll be provided more information in terms of where this falls within the budget. So I think at the end of phase,
Gerald, are you giving us a heads up though, that are you giving us an early warning that initial thoughts on this is it's going to be more expensive than we originally thought, or am I reading too much into that?
Well, no, the prior company had the number, and Bill could talk more to the numbers, but it was very high. And so this was a kind of taking a step back, and then stepping up, a step back, a step to the right, and now we're going forward.
Well,
Bill, if you could comment, please.
Yeah, let me comment, and maybe Chris can speak into if he wants. This is actually two different projects. Gerald's talking about the East Trunk sewer replacement, that Cardinal design. That's upper past this. This is just that 311-foot section of line at the
Right.
Metro Center. The 33-inch line that's
Oh, this is
311
Metro.
feet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And what happens is that's as Gerald said is correct. It's on wooden piles. The investigation will look at whether we replace the existing line in place and those piles are okay, that we can reutilize them, or we have to put it next to it. Both are going to be costly. If the piles are good, in order to replace it in kind, we'd have to do bypass pumping. If they're not good, we can go next to it. We'd have to put piles, and that'd be expensive. But that one line would stay in service until we put the new piles in with the new new line right next to it, and then once that's completed, then we can route it around. Again, this is going to be increased in size too. It's going to go from a 33-inch pipe
Yep.
to a 36-inch pipe.
When we originally approved the funding on this, did we approve it under the assumption that we were going to be able to use the existing pilings, or did we approve a higher amount concern that we might not be able to?
We didn't approve any amount. This is just the design to see what that number would look like. We haven't approved
Right.
a number for construction.
Okay, so we just
The other-
approved this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, the other project was.
Right. I'm sorry, Bill. Yes, this is Gerald Foley. I was confused because I was thinking that this was a component because we have two projects that have the similar names. So that's why I was getting the two of them mixed.
Yeah. Gerald was talking about the Cardinal design for the East Trunk sewer replacement project. It was taking that East Trunk sewer out of the Ash Creek Bank and Rooster River banks and running it through the town roads. And why that's expensive, because it's a deep cut and it has to be, and it impacts all of the utilities within the street, but it gets us away from a lot of the inflow and infiltration that's happening along the river banks.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Baldwin, same question on the contracts here.
Yeah, there are some minor changes that we are working on, but nothing that I think would preclude you from approving this, subject to approval of terms by the town attorney.
Yeah, I would think we should put that in the language. So, okay. When the time comes, I'm going to make a motion.
I don't have any questions.
If the first Selectwoman doesn't have any questions, I'll make the motion.
What's the motion?
It would be to add the language under number 6, subject to the terms as put forth by the town attorney. For the contract terms as put forth by the town attorney.
Jim, do you think we need to add that? Attorney Baldwin?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's my motion.
I'll
Do I have
second
a
it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Back to the main motion then,
As amended. Yep.
as amended. Any further discussion?
Not from me.
All in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All righty.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for, okay, Bill and Chris, take care.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Next item is 7, FairTV Commission to hear and consider and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the FairTV Commission. Would the certain Selectwoman like to make a motion?
Sorry, I was trying to get to my, before you, you beat me to it. I move to waive the reading, please.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 7, which is listed clearly on the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, any discussion?
So this is between the town of Fairfield and Jerry, who's on this call.
And
Yes,
Gerald is also here to answer, and the chair, I believe, of the commission, I think he's on Stu. He might be. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, no. So is this contract between the town and Jerry, or is it between FairTV and Jerry?
I can
I
answer that.
believe okay, there you go.
It's a contract with the town, the authorizing body.
And shame on me for not knowing this, but how does this work, Jim? Is the town runs FairTV, but FairTV isn't a separate entity that would have this contract with Jerry? Is that how this goes?
Well, FairTV is an offshoot of the town government, right?
Right.
It doesn't have its independent, board and finances and all that kind of stuff. So
You're breaking up. Sorry, you're breaking up.
They're backed and supported by the town of Fairfield. So the town of Fairfield is ultimately the authorizing body and the responsible body for their actions.
Is there any issues with that or any concerns with that? Given that this is supposed to be somewhat of an independent entity, and I was not aware actually that Jerry was kind of an independent contractor for the town as opposed to an independent contractor through an organization, FairTV. I know we give them money, but they also get money from other grants and such, but there's no concern on that.
No, it's very typical actually of other like boards and commissions and entities that we have in the town. For example, when they go for a grant, that's processed and I think signed off by the first Selectwoman's office and if necessary other bodies. So it's all part of the regular operation of town government, albeit by a quasi-independent agency of that government.
Yeah, the only difference I would say here is because they're supposed to be so independent and kind of covering town aspects or actions as opposed to controlled by town actions. That's kind of where I, as a trained journalist, for lack of a better way to put it, where I have some concerns. That's all.
Well, I would just distinguish this from their operations. This is a contract, right? And it's not necessarily meddling with the terms and conditions that they put upon the services that are required within that contract. There's a difference.
Is there any argument that, do we have any employment issues here versus, are we buttoned up with independent contractor versus employee?
Jerry is an independent contractor, absolutely, and he can go out and have other businesses to run and everything. We do not control what he does or says.
Right. So it's those 14 points or whatever the heck it is that determine whether you're an employee versus an independent contractor, right?
Yes, it's a balancing test of those 14 points. That's correct.
It is 14, right? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Thank you for answering my questions, and my apologies for jumping in.
Are there any other questions on this item?
Not for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jerry.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, Jerry, that I know your work for the town, can you start using the skinny lens, please?
Well, I don't know. That might enter into some sort of thing,
It's too expensive.
We'll try. Again, thank you all very much, though. Yes.
Thank you, Jerry. Item number 8, purchasing authority. To hear and consider and authorize the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed contract with Silver Petrocelli and Associates for architectural design services and construction administrative services for the replacement of the roof at the Burr Elementary School. RFP is numbers listed on the agenda in the amount not to exceed $14,300. Am I echoing? Funding for this contract is pending RTM approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion, questions? We have Sal Morbido, and I believe Sal is on the line, I'm not sure, and
Gerald
Gerald
Foley's here,
Foley
too.
is also on the line.
This cup check. Sal Morbido is not with us today, but I am here to answer any
Oh, hi,
questions.
Angeles, thank you.
Hello. And just to update you, as I'm sure you all know, the RTM has approved the funding for this at this time.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You're right. I don't think Jennifer updated that part of the agenda. Thank you.
Just
so
curious,
this-
is it different process? I mean, normally it goes to the Board of Selectmen first. I'm curious, why'd that happen that way? Curious.
Well, this is. Go ahead, Angelos.
I was just going to say the funding did come before you. This is just the approval of the contract agreement.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
County
got it.
attorney
Yep,
has reviewed.
got it.
Yeah, so this is Gerald Foley. So I can explain. So what happened was, and in order for me to put these items on your agenda, what I do is I take some liberties and basically provide Mr. Baldwin with as much lead time as I possibly can, so I'm not dropping these things all on his lap at the same time. So this particular one I had submitted to him in mid-March, and so when I submitted it to him, that's where that came from, the pending the RTM, because the RTM hadn't actually met then. So again, I'm just pushing these, forward so that he's given more opportunity and more time to review them. So when the agenda actually went out, yes, I think I should have caught that with Jennifer, so that wasn't Jennifer's fault. It was mine. I should have reminded her on that. But anyway, so the backstory to this particular project, this is going to be run through the Special Project Standing Building Committee. And what we've done is we go out to architectural design services for these projects basically almost every year. We're going in this cycle where we're going out, and we do it about this same time. So I met with Sal Morbido, and we met with members of the Special Project Standing Building Committee. And so what we did is we said, rather than go out with these things one at a time and then kind of chase this around, what we did is we actually issued an RFP that had 5 projects in it. So the projects that you guys have before you tonight is just the Burr Elementary School, but what we've done is we've actually solicited these, so we've got 4 other schools that'll come behind this. that it's going to expedite the process a little bit on the backside, so that it's going to be a little bit more streamlined when we go to actually do the construction components of these projects.
As I recall, we've done work before with Silver Petrus. Sally, correct?
Yes. So yes, we have. Yep, they did a couple of our roofs, and so this particular project, if they're successful here, our intent is to review them annually. But we have behind the Burr School, we have 4 other schools. I'll be happy to name them if everyone wants to hear them. So we're going to try to get further ahead, because what we do is we try to design these projects, then we apply for state reimbursement. Then once we get authorization back from them, we physically put them out to bid. So we're in a very, very short timeline, because we're trying to do all the work over the summer. So we're trying to chop days off of the schedule as opposed to weeks, because it's just such a tight schedule that we work within. So going forward, we're trying to make it so that it's a little bit more streamlined. So this is our first attempt at this more streamlined process.
And these, Attorney Baldwin, these contracts have been reviewed by yourself, same items.
Yes, it's all very standard stuff.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions from me.
I don't have any.
Thank you, Nancy. All right. All in favor of this item?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Can I waive the reading for the next one as well? I don't want to offend anyone. I know people are on the phone, but perhaps just in the interest of.
Absolutely.
So I'll make that motion. I move to waive the reading.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 9 is a purchasing, and I'll just say it's for Warde High School for an air conditioning unit replacement in the cafeteria. And we do have, again, Angeles and Gerald on the line. And gentlemen, would you like to just talk a little bit about this item?
Ms. Kupchak, just to clarify, it's not a replacement. We are adding air conditioning to the current Warde cafeteria that does not currently have air conditioning.
Oh, okay. In the item language, it says
Yeah,
replacement.
that's me. I put replacement. That's what
You're
I
in a
thought
lot
it
of
was
trouble, Gerald.
I know.
So I'll make a motion that we adjust this item to remove for the replacement of and say for the addition of.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So what's the, Angeles, can you talk to us about this a little bit and step us through this? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, this actually was approved last year
Just clicked off.
as a capital project. It's taken quite a bit longer because of the shutdown, but we are trying to move it through at this point. So this contract is hopefully going to move that process along. We've met with the winning bidder for the design aspect, and that's what this contract is for.
Is this staying within budget, et cetera, on this one?
It is absolutely within budget.
Mr. Baldwin, have you had the opportunity to review this contract as well and made sure that the appropriate language is in place, as well as any required performance bonds or insurance?
I have. I rely upon Gerald and his team to look into the performance bonds, but I have done all that.
Yeah. So on, Mr. Flynn, this is Gerald Foley. Yes. So
Yeah.
for this one, this is where the design services.
Yeah.
So we're not going to require a performance bond. So what this, similar to the previous project, this one's a multi-phase one, we're doing the preliminary engineering design, then we're going to go to schematic design, design development, construction documents, and then bidding. And as Angela said, alluded to, the intent is to move this along. I had aggressively put in here, we're hoping to get the construction fully completed by September. Whether we can actually facilitate that. Similar issues we had before in terms of putting all the ducks in a row and actually getting out to bid and completing. So that timeline might have to move off a little bit, but when I put these together, I'm thinking aggressively. So Angelus might even comment more that it might not meet the deadline that we had thought it would be. We were saying, construction, guy said fully completed by, but I'm thinking that we might be having bidding fully completed by, but I'm not sure if we'll actually have construction completed by then.
Yeah, at this point, we're not confident that it will be finished over the summer break, but we will make sure that we put into the bidding process that a second shift and alternative hours are required if need be to continue the project through and into the school year.
Let me ask a question, just because, Gerald, you've commented on streamlining this process, which I'm all for and all that. When you quote something like a 36,200 here, is that for all phases or is that for the first phase?
Yes. No,
it's
so
for all
for
phases.
What we had,
okay.
For all phases. So what we had is we had phases 1 and phases 2. Those were already done. We had preliminary engineering design from another party. We had schematic design from another party. So what we did, basically, the company that we're going to select, they're going into design development, and they're using the basis of those prior designs and kind of working on them. So from phases, basically it's 3 through 7, that is all included in the number that we presented.
Is that inefficient to have different companies do these different phases like you just laid out?
Well, that was kind of my fault, or not my fault, but my poking. So what's happened is past practice has been for professional services, we've had a tendency to use the same companies repetitively.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been pushing back more to different departments and entities to actually start soliciting more RFPs and actually, soliciting other companies to bid on these services. And what happens is there's never a good time to do that, but it just so happened in this particular project, the company had already done some services, so we collectively picked a point and said, okay, if we stopped here, let us go out and see what we can get competitively. And so that's why it started that way. But I'm trying to do it more proactively.
Yeah, so I get that, and I also like the fact that the more RFPs, RFQs, whatever you want to call them, and I'm supportive of that. My concern is you get highly inefficient if you have one group do this, one group do this, and if they don't carry it soup to nuts. The other issue I have with that, having been in this situation before in my professional career, is you start having the experts pointing fingers at each other when something goes wrong.
Right.
Hey, we relied on this design and that turned out to be wrong. Go talk to that guy, right? And I don't want to get into that situation. So how are we going to avoid that?
Yeah, so because they'll be doing the design, that this company will be doing the development of the design. So the preliminary initial stuff was done by the prior, but now the company we're hiring, we're going to make them responsible for, going forward, that it's their design, so it's got to function as they are saying it's going to function.
Yeah, I just don't want to get into a situation where we have one group doing a piece of the design, another group doing another piece of the design, then another group coming in and redoing some of the stuff that group did. It's just, it's not going to work, I'll tell you.
Right. So going forward from this particular project, the company they're doing all the components going forward. There'll be, unless we determine otherwise, there won't be another party coming in to view those or to vet those.
Angeles,
how do you feel about this since we're talking about it? And thank you, Joe.
No, we obviously, as you said, we'd like to have the single company on board because the fingers get pointed left and right. Just give a little clarification to what Gerald's talking about is we did hire out of our operating budget, we hired an engineering company to come in and look at the cafeteria and that's where we came up with the proposed amount to put forwards in the capital project request. We worked with an engineering company. We evaluated multiple ways to handle this, and then we chose what we felt was a comfortable number off of those to move it forwards in the capital project request. Unfortunately, when I went out to bid, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, the company that did that initial part did not bid on the actual design part of it. So, but they were willing and able to hand over what their initial report showed and what they found as best approaches to move forwards with that. So that's where you get that kind of division of the two different companies.
Yeah, I just want to avoid that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, the company that did the initial was unable at the time to bid on this project moving forwards because of everything going on. They were just overwhelmed at that point.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
No questions, just thank you for keeping the kids at Warde cool and healthy.
All right, all in favor?
Closing.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 10.
Also happy to make the motion to waive the reading of this item.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just to quickly, it is regarding video production agreements. And we have Gerald Foley. We have the Ludlow High School Principal, Greg Hatzitz, who I haven't seen in a long time. Nice to have you here. And Fairfield Warde High School Principal, Paul Kavanagh, will present this item. And Superintendent of Schools is also on the line. How are you guys? Nice to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to this tonight. And I'm Mike Cummings, Superintendent, and I've got with me, and I think most capable of speaking to this, are our two head principals, Mr. Hatzis and Mr. Kavanagh. Based on their experiences last year with last year's graduation, we want to move forward with a similar approach this year to honor our graduates. So with that said, questions you may have for us.
I'll open it up to the board.
Nance, do you have any questions?
I have a comment, first of all, to say thank you both so much, and to the superintendent, Mr. Hatzis, Mr. Kavanagh, and to you, Mr. Cummings, for everything you've done, and to make this graduation this year feel special. There was a lot of attention paid to the 2020 graduates, and there was like this national embrace. And the kids this year, they've lost a lot, but in the face of that, you've given them a lot. And I know it was a very successful graduation last year. I know, having a graduating senior, that he will be thrilled that this is the option. Any concerns with the gathering in terms of any of the precautions or any of that, or can you speak to just some of the precautions that will be in place, anything that will be different from last year?
If I could just jump in, Nancy, they both, this has all gone through the emergency management planning team as we did last year. Obviously, it was a much more tighter situation last year because of so early in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, and I want to just thank both our principals and our superintendent, Angelis, and our emergency management team for all their hard work last year, pulling off what I believe was such a lovely graduation experience for our students who weren't thinking they were going to have anything. And I was lucky enough to attend both nights and stand outside the gate and wave to every single family and every graduate. And it was really a very exciting time. And everyone was so happy. It was great. I would love to see us do this every year, regardless of the pandemic, because it seems like the families really enjoyed it. But to answer your question, this has gone through the emergency planning. Obviously, the sector rules have expanded in a way that allow us more people. And I don't know exactly how the principals are going to work this out. You probably could allow more people, more tickets than we did last year. But just to ensure you know that this
Yep.
is fully vetted by our
Perfect.
team.
That'll be very reassuring. But again, to echo what you just said, it was such a special night for so many of the graduates last year. I'm personally looking forward to it this year. So thank you.
I want to echo my colleagues' comments on all the work that went into this and how well it worked out last year and the fact that you're doing it. And Nancy, congratulations on your graduation of your student this year and all that. Quick question on the item itself. Just thinking about this, we do such good work at the high schools. Their holiday productions and musical productions. This big thing, I think what Ms. Kupchak said regarding being able to do this almost every year. Should we be looking at acquiring the equipment and the ability to do this as opposed to paying for it on a event by event basis? Would it not be more cost effective? And also, do we not have students that are being maybe trained in this kind of stuff within our high schools that could help with the productions of these? Because I think it's a way to bring um, the school activities to a broader audience of maybe people around town that can't get there physically. And I'm just wondering if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that these kind of production services and the ability for people to um, partake in these things virtually is pretty important. I just want to throw that out there and get some thoughts on it.
Well, I think it's something we could definitely look at, right, Mike and team. I think we could look at this going forward if this is something that the school district deems they would like to try to do as a regular course of business. I think it's a great, much more fun than doing it at the school, but I may be wrong. I guess you'd have to poll your parents and ask, but if that's the way we choose to go forward, if the school district chooses, obviously it's their choice.
There would be there are families I know now who recognize the need for this type of event. I think that there are also people who regret the loss of the traditional graduation at the high school fields and all that has to offer as well. So I think that that's a conversation. I will say to you to actually before I do, I want to echo some of the comments already. The event last year was really a triumph of the school system and the town working hand in hand to accomplish something on behalf of the kids and the families. And you know, every indication this year is that that same spirit of cooperation is at work. It's inspiring for what it produces, but it's also inspiring for the work that takes place together. Going to Mr. Flynn's question of the ultimate purchase of this type of equipment, I do think that watching the team work last year on the graduations, I do think that this, my inexperience tells me that this does require some experience to pull off. But you know, there were conversations last year as people just kind of huddled around the video monitors and we waiting for graduation to begin, that either a school or a school town purchase of this type of equipment opens up all kinds of possibilities for family moving nights and all kinds of other activities that a town eventually could engage in, whether it's the school system with the rec department or whoever it might be. It provides some flexibility for events and planning down the road, and makes perhaps some better use of some of our facilities in town as well. So it is worth considering.
Yeah, Mr. Cummings, that's exactly where I was going. And by the way, in terms of the traditional graduation, I'm not even saying don't have the traditional graduation going forward. I'm saying the ability to broadcast it or to have it out there so that maybe grandparents that live in a different area of the United States could watch it, or things of that sort. You know, you limit the tickets and things like that. So I do think we've seen that there's a lot of things that this can be used for that could really broaden kind of the audience and the integration of the school system, so people can see some of the good things that happen in the school system, you know, with kind of your carol on and your other events through the school years.
So can I weigh in? Because this is very much my profession, production and video and all of this. And to say that in many cases, I don't underestimate the talent of the students at the schools, but in these cases, keeping up with the technology and being able to broadcast broadly and having that expertise, it is money well spent to make sure that we get capture in the most professional way. things that are very intricate and multiple camera shots and whatnot. So I'm all for the movie nights and the, more rudimentary equipment, but this does require a more sophisticated setup.
So Nance, my question would be, do you buy the equipment and rent the people, right?
The equipment changes so much.
Fair.
And maintaining it, and at least, at a certain level. So I would say at this point, it wouldn't be something I'm all for spending in this regard to make sure it has that quality and capability.
Yeah. I just want to make
that's
sure.
Not on the plate for today, but
yeah, I think that's probably a discussion for another time. If the school district ever decides to, if they want to permanently do that.
I support very much the this item as an expense and something that's certainly worthy, and to be able to broadcast it in the most beautiful, professional way and reach the widest audience. So this certainly has my support. And I have no questions.
Thank you. I did want to ask for a motion for a quick amendment. I apologize. I should have asked earlier. Can I get a motion to amend this item just to add additional source of funding for these services is available in account 11-2400-30 331-100-307-41-6140-S-54910.
Perfect.
I make the motion as you just said it.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're back to the main motion as amended.
By the way, I would just like to point out that I think that if it is just unique to the fact that it's related to the pandemic and the attendance, this is obviously something that should be looked at for reimbursement through the grants that are coming our way.
Mr. Cavanna, I know you had spoken with the kids today about the graduation. Is there anything that's resonant or relevant here today to bring up?
Sure.
Are they excited about this?
Yeah, I think Mr. Hatzis could speak a little from Ludlow, but the Warde students are very excited about the beach graduation. They're looking forward to it. They heard a lot of the comments from last year's seniors and families, and I think that this opportunity that, like Mr. Cummings said, that shows the town and the school system working together in tandem is just going to be another example of a great ceremony for our kids.
Yeah, and if I could just add that, we've always felt that graduation is a really special moment, not just for the schools, but for the whole town. I mean, this is a culmination of a huge investment of these children's lives and the whole community. So we want it to be special. When we do a normal traditional graduation, we have upwards of 2,000, 2,500 people. And just from a safety standpoint, even if the sector rules were to change between now and June, I don't think we're going to get up to 2,000 people in one place. So the drive-in style graduation, which is really what this is what necessitates the special technology, right? To have the movie screens there. It's because when you spread out all those cards in a socially distanced way, it really takes up that entire Jennings parking lot. So we really did need the screens for people to be able to see what's going on. So that's a huge thing. And the kids just really, I think the most important thing for the kids is that they're all together. And if we were to do a traditional graduation where, we replicated the traditional graduation, but had smaller groups of people within the sector rules, then the kids would miss out on sharing with their classmates. And I think just the collective act of being all together is very, very high on their priority list.
Yep.
And it's also nice that this year's is going to be recorded so other families could watch, or parents could go back and watch it if they didn't get an opportunity to go in person. And the last point that Mr. Hatzis, I think, said I want to underscore is that the families could be together too. So it's not that we have to do a ceremony when only one parent or one guardian can attend. And that, I think, is important to the parent community, as well as the kids get the opportunity to celebrate with their classmates.
Wow, I'm getting teary talking about technology. I'm going to be a mess. Thank you all.
Well, if there's no further questions on this item, I just want to personally thank both Greg and Paul. I haven't had a chance to see either one of you in a while. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work this year, managing under this stress. And this situation and making sure our kids are safe and they're educated and you're handling all the parents' concerns and the students' concerns. So my hat's off to both of you. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, all in favor of the motion as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And our next item, number 11, is
Also happy to
Okay.
waive it. Yeah.
okay.
I'll make the motion to waive the reading for 11 and 12, if I may.
Very good.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so item number 11 is Gerald Foley is here and Angelus to present this item.
So this is the contract agreement for the conditioning report for the district. This is something that's been on the operating side budget for a few years now, but has been kind of kicked down the road as emergencies have arisen and funding was needed to do other projects. Now that we've been able to get through most of our emergencies without needing funding, that's why this is here before you now. It went out for an RFP, and DTC was decided to be the best vendor for this operation. This is basically to look at all the district buildings that don't currently have air conditioning and to design plans or solutions to add air conditioning to those existing spaces and buildings.
So this is to come up with what the budget would be if the town elected to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, per building. So they will look at each individual building that doesn't currently have air conditioning and provide us with some backup and some history and the ability to put some budget numbers together for moving forwards. Obviously, either through an operating budget or a non-reoccurring or a capital project, depending on pricing. Included in this not only is air conditioning, but because buildings would have to be torn apart to add ductwork and that type of stuff, we are also asking them to look at sprinkler upgrades and LED lighting upgrades while being in there.
Would this also be a prioritization of this would be the schools that you would do? Is that part of this? Are they going to help determine which ones really need it or maybe not need it or what have you?
It would help us determine where, if there's some issues or some concerns along the way, maybe buildings that are overheating for a particular reason, it will help identify those. And, yes.
Okay. And Mr. Baldwin, you've reviewed these contracts as well?
That's correct.
And I'm assuming no issues, right?
No issues.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. And we waive the reading of number 12, but we have Dave Kelley and Gerald Foley on the line now. Thank you, Angelus. And thank you, Mike. So who wants to, Gerald or Dave?
I'll start off. This is Dave
Okay.
Kelley.
Go ahead, Dave.
So this is basically the annual maintenance on the Microsoft software and licenses that the town uses on roughly 600 PCs and laptops, roughly 80 computer servers, or roughly 600 computer accounts for employees and the like. Microsoft does agreements in 3-year stints, and this is the beginning of a 3-year stint. And there is one typographical error at the end of this. The account number there is incorrect. The correct number is 01003110. This comes out of IT's IT software line, and it is in our budget.
Should I make a motion to amend the account as just read by Mr. Kelley? Mr. Baldwin, is that?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, so I move to change the account number as just stated by Mr. Kelley.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, Mr. Kelley, how many computers does this cover?
Roughly 600 PCs and laptops.
Which is more than the number of employees we have on the town side, is it not?
Yes, we have many dozens of computers in the library that are used for public access and laptops that are loaned out for programs within the library, which the town actually borrowed during the beginning of COVID so that we could work from home rather rapidly without buying more equipment. So, yes, the computers do outnumber the head count of the town.
So for those laptops that get loaned out by the library and the like, those still come under your budget, is that correct?
That's correct.
For that expenditures. Do we have any concerns over I've had some experience with software licenses and the copying of software. Do we undergo an audit, or how's that work, or will this spur on an audit by Microsoft of the licenses we're using? Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Actually, it's just the contrary. Every year before the renewal anniversary, we do a true-up in town where we recount everything, all of the licenses in use, the computers in use, the number of email mailboxes, and the like. So that we stay in lockstep with Microsoft on the count. Typically, we have a slight drift upward. There's always another mailbox being created somewhere or something, or a couple more computers here and there. But it's an annual. We do that typically in January to get everything ready for the March, April payment.
Okay, and there's no, because it's Microsoft, there's no real negotiation here, right? There's not a lot of leverage.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't. We do purchase this through Dell because they do carry the state contract pricing, so we believe it's the lowest we can pay to get this.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Nope.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Gerald.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Gerald. Thank you, Dave.
Item 13 is to consider an act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $55,848.75. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 14 is to hear and consider an act upon any other business that shall properly come before this meeting. Is there any from either one of you?
Nothing right now.
Okay, and I just want to give a quick update before I go into the COVID update. There was a rally this past Saturday on the town green, standing up against discrimination against Asian Americans, and I attended it, as well as did Senator Blumenthal, Attorney General William Tong, State Senator Tony Wong, and our state delegation, and Selectwoman Nancy Lefkowitz. And it was a powerful rally. Most specifically, the students who spoke, our students from in Fairfield, about how their experiences of being discriminated against, and some of the biases that they feel in their everyday lives, which I think everyone should be hearing and concerned about. And so I just wanted to say that I thought it was a good opportunity for us to come together and discuss these things. But as I said at the rally, I think it's important that we live lives by example, not just at rallies, but at every single day and everything we do and say, so that we don't that we're not adding to this situation, that we're actually helping to prevent it. So I just wanted to say that. I'll go into
I just wanted to say thank you. I think I'm so glad that you brought that up and that you made the comments you did both on the day and today. So thank you. Those students, it's heartbreaking to hear that that's their experience, and yet heartening that so many people came out to stand in support of them and to hear them and to bear witness. And I just really appreciate you bringing it up today and being there on Saturday and saying those words.
I want to also echo Mrs. Kupchik's comments on the issue, particularly that it's more than just a rally. It should be in your everyday lives. I also want to send my regrets in not being able to attend because I had a prior commitment, but I'm glad it took place and I'm glad it went well. And thank you for bringing it up on the call.
Thank you. Just a quick update on COVID. Obviously, I do include this in the newsletter and it's posted on our town website, but as of last Thursday, April 1st, most of you know, all adults in Connecticut over the age of 16 are eligible to schedule a vaccination appointment. Pfizer is currently the only vaccine that is approved for individuals under the age of 18. The Fairfield Health Department does not administer Pfizer. Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are the only ones we're currently giving out at the health department. There was some issues last week. I reached out to our superintendent and he provided an update to me, which I did include in my newsletter. There was some questions regarding the need to shift some classes in school buildings to remote learning due to a few positive cases. And he assured everyone that the Fairfield Public Schools and our health department were working closely together, and that while the CDC has reduced social distancing for schools from 6 to 3 feet, the definition of close contact for quarantine has not changed, and the close contacts with anyone within 6 feet of a positive case for at least 15 minutes cumulative in a 24-hour period. So this may seem overly restrictive given the loosening of the state measures, but schools are obligated to follow the protocols. And with the uptake of the contagious variants, the ability to contact trace, excuse me, is even more important, and it's becoming a bit more complex. So I just wanted to note that I know there were some issues with our health department being able to reach out and speak to teachers to get enough information to do some of this tracing. So, and I did include all of that, and that is again posted on the town's website. But I just want to say that it takes a village. Everyone has to participate, the teachers, the school administration, the health department. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes every single day to ensure that not just our schools, but also our entire community, excuse me, is safe. I would like to announce that I got my second shot of the vaccine, and I got sick both times, but I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm really encouraged by the amount of people getting vaccinated every single day. When we opened it up on April 1st, a lot of people had, pre-registered in that age group, and our health department was literally like jammed on last Thursday for their vaccines. That was the first day. And so they just stepped up once again and handled it. They gave over 1,500 vaccines. They're amazing. They just keep stepping up every single day for our community. And I can't praise them enough because we're so incredibly lucky to have such an amazing health department led by an amazing director. So
can I echo, because I want to say publicly, yes. Sands was so great to me because in my COVID anxiety, I called him about which shot should I take, and he said he was really patient and calm, and he said get jabbed, get stuck with whichever one. He was so encouraging. Yeah, he was really awesome. So, anyone that's feeling anxious and trying to do that math of like, should I get Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, like, really, Sands was so great, and I want to thank him publicly and to sort of just remind everybody that the important thing is to get the shot and not be so anxious if you can put that aside like I had to. But Sans was great, and I just want to echo the thanks and the support. So
Much
Yeah,
I'm one
appreciated.
shot in, thanks to Sans. I'm one shot in, and I get my next one April 17th.
So I should say that I also got my shot, and it was a very efficient and quote unquote painless process. My arm was sore for about a day, was about it. But I would encourage everybody to get vaccinated as well. And it is pretty remarkable how efficient the process has been set up to work. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate both of your comments. I just want to announce that the April Tree of Hope lighting at Sherman Green is for the Center of Family Justice. This month will be lit. April is both Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Awareness Month. The Center of Family Justice provides crisis and support services. We all know we're very supportive of them. They have done amazing work in our community and in surrounding areas. So I hope, if you have a chance to go down and see it, it will be to see that it's lit on behalf of the Center of Family Justice. And
I also just want to jump in, if I may, because I was a naysayer, and I said it before, I was a naysayer of this. I had spoken out against this tree, but I have to stand corrected again, because I think it has been a really nice way to highlight some of these organizations. I think the team behind Choosing has done a really excellent job of picking the organizations that are highlighted. And so I want to stand corrected from my initial position and say that it's been warming to see the organizations that have been on the front and center of this tree and getting the advocacy. So.
well, thank you. Listen, I think sometimes things, sometimes goodness can come out of controversy, right? And so that's what we're about, right? So I just want to also note that they're celebrating their 125th anniversary, the Center of Family Justice. So they are a really great organization. And you're right, it highlights these organizations a bit more and brings some more awareness. So I think that, if anything, that's so positive for our community. And so if there are no other items that anyone would like to discuss, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you,
right,
everybody.
everyone. Have a good
All
night.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.